Welcome back to another episode of the Slow Hustle Interviews. I am with Vicki. Vicki, before we go any further, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
So I am Vicki McCullum, and my title is kind of getting too long to fit into a normal thing, which I guess is so freelancer-ish, because you start one thing and then someone's like, oh yeah, can you do? And then you land up going into that. And then, so yeah, I do voiceovers, I do a lot of writing. I work in radio. I am suddenly doing a strange amount of social media posting for people, but I'm not a social media strategist or anything like that. Yeah, I think those are probably the main ones.
Cool. So to kick us off, why don't you tell me about your side hustle, what it is and why you started it?
So my side hustle is basically I freelance on Upwork, and it varies on what I'm doing. So the reason why I started looking into it is because the sad truth about broadcasting, and it's the whole of broadcasting, whether you're in TV, radio, print, you can't live off that salary. It's just not going to work. So initially, I thought I'd give it a shot for some extra income. It is quite difficult to get higher paid jobs in the beginning. So then it kind of became a thing of like, well, let me game the system and just take on these low paid jobs and see how far I can get, because money is money. And now I'm doing it because it means that in one day I am a true crime writer. I am writing a memoir for an addict. I have done a voiceover for an alleged magical hypnosis treatment to lose weight. I have also done radio presenting, and I've created pretty pictures on Canva pretending that I'm a graphic designer for a few minutes. So that's kind of why I do it now.
Awesome. So this is so interesting because it is something that comes up so often. The first part is my salary doesn't pay all of my expenses anymore. And it's so crazy to me. My first job was actually in broadcasting at 702 while I was studying journalism with Katie Catapodis and all these incredible media people who obviously did it full time. But it's crazy how it's just descended into save money wherever they can so that they pay people as little as possible. So that's the first thing. I hear that all the time. The second thing is, how do I get clients? And Upwork comes up a lot because you can be a designer, be a writer, be anything that is skills orientated, list your services and then make money. But is it actually that simple?
So the thing is that I think people go in with a very high expectation thinking, oh, I'm going to earn in dollars. I can start off at like $20 an hour. The thing is that Upwork has grown insane amounts, especially with the pandemic, of course. So you're going in at $20, you have no reviews, no recommendations. And then you have people whose hourly is like $3, $4, $5, and they are highly rated. It's just, you've just got to like take a little bit of a reality check and think of it rather as like penny stacking. So rather do a bunch of $5 jobs and have clients and have reviews, then turn your nose up and think like, oh, I'm too good for a $5 job. Which, amazing. By the way, is actually a decent amount of rand. It's not like a $5 job. Like I think it's about 200, no? Oh, my maths is shocking. 5 times.
I'll do it for you. It's 70 rand.
70
but still,
rand.
like, yeah.
That's not bad for an hourly. I mean, some of the stuff you can do in less than an hour, especially if, I mean, we've got pretty decent writing skills in South Africa. If you can edit and proofread something, you can get $5 for like a 10-minute article. And you might have thought it was going to take an hour, but you're turning your nose up because you want to be a $20 an hour kind of person.
100%. And so in my universe of side hustles, I have to remind people that you're just trying to add income, right? So I just worked out quickly that if you do this 10 hours a day, 5 days a week as your full-time job at $5, you're making 14,000 rand a month. That's not so bad. Like you can actually build a full career out of doing $5 jobs in a 10-hour day. Not to say that that's what people should do, but you can.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your theory, right? Was get in, go cheap, get ratings, get rankings, get reviews, and then start bumping up your price. Is that kind of how it worked out for you?
Yeah, and what happened as well was I seem to be more of a long-term client kind of person. So a client that started with me on a very low rate, I mean, he gave me my first audiobook to record, had no idea if I could even do it. I didn't know if I could do it. I hadn't heard of ACX and all of that. I was Googling away because I had to have this job. And he's still my client, and I've been doing Upwork for like 3 years. And just as time's gone on, I've said to him, like, listen, can we bump it up a little bit more? Like, my hourly rate is X. Do you mind just maybe meeting me at Y? And it's worked really well. So those $5 jobs also turned into, I mean, his work that I've done is the reason why I am now top rated plus, because of the long-term relationship and the high income earnings. It's actually not high income earnings. It's just that it's been 3 years.
That's a great little hack though. Like, this is why it's so interesting to talk to someone actually doing it, because so many people are trying Fiverr and Upwork and the like. And I think this is the point, right? It's not somewhere where you're going to go all of a sudden get a $400 job just because you pitched your services. It's a 3-year game to elevate yourself to this like worthy level.
Yeah. Definitely. I haven't even tried Fiverr, to be honest. I started a profile and I was just like, this is a lot. I don't want to pitch. I don't know how to pitch. I don't know how to pitch myself at all. I just want someone to like read, "Hi, I'm Vicki from Cape Town," and go, "Yes, you're it."
Okay, and so is that kind of how you started your profile? Like, what was the first service you listed, and then did you scale from there, or did you list everything initially and kind of pull back over time?
So I started my profile as a virtual assistant. I've not done a single virtual assistant job to this day.
No worries.
I was just like, this is what I can do. I didn't have much like other point of reference for what my skill set was. I never thought of myself as a writer or a voiceover artist. In fact, I thought that I was in radio because of my personality, not my voice. I was like, well, they have to tolerate the voice because I'm kind of sparkly and cool. So I never even thought of trying that. And then I think I just got to a point of desperation, and I was like, well, let me shoot for voiceovers. I have a super neutral accent, so no one can really tell where I'm from.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the first job.
Amazing. And then, so you got the first job as voiceover, and then you did more of those, and then you stacked other skills onto that and started offering it to existing clients. So you got new clients because of that.
Yeah. So with the existing clients, what'll generally happen is they don't want to go and look for new freelancers. So either I will say to them at some point, like, if you ever need help with writing, just let me know, I'm around. And then they will let me do that. Or they will say to me, one of the ways that I got into project management was I was working with a client, and they were like, I need you to handle this, and I don't know if you can, but I just need you to, and just here's access to my profile. Please set yourself up as a project manager and go. Because they didn't want to go through that whole thing of looking for someone, sorting through proposals, etc. So building up a relationship with them where they can trust me enough to do whatever I can do that they need.
Yeah.
It worked out well.
That's a really great tip, is actually what you're going for is good service and trust more than anything else. Like, and I've experienced this on both Fiverr, Upwork, and 99 Designs. The second I find someone that is good at anything, I'm like, cool, can you refer me to someone? Can you do this? Like, can you just stay in my world? I'll pay you forever. Just don't fuck me around. Like, please.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It works. It's great advice.
I'm now it reached a point in lockdown where I had a lot of people asking me for things that I couldn't do. So I created my own client profile and started hiring other freelancers, and then saying to my client, like, I can't do it, but I have a guy. I mean, like, the guy who edits my audiobooks for me that I found like 2 years ago after I was just like, I can't do this anymore. He is also now my video guy. He's my go-to. Like, he does everything as well.
So clever. What a great tip.
It's just like building that network of freelancers means that I can then gun for jobs that I actually don't have the skill set of. And I don't necessarily take much of, I mean, I take off the Upwork fee of what I'm paying them, but it means that I get that job and I get to do my portion. And then it boosts what Upwork sees my skills as. So then I have a much more diverse review profile thing.
That's such a great tip. You've kind of like built yourself a little freelance empire, which I think it's so smart, and it's so obvious when you say it, like, oh, I can't do it, but I'm on a platform that has all these other people who can do all these other things. Why wouldn't I do that? Like, it's smack you in the face kind of obviousness now. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff here, but the main thing that I'm hoping that you can, off the top of your head, give me is some tips for people who are kind of thinking about going into Upwork, but haven't really figured out how to put a profile together. Are there things you've learned that like hook people in better than just getting?
So the first thing is fancy titles like, I don't know, social media unicorn and that kind of thing. That's not going to show up in a search. If I'm searching as a client for voiceover, the people who have the most obvious titles are going to come up first. So the thing about Upwork is like everything you're told to do on a portfolio, just dial it way back. It's just got to be super simple. No one's going to go to your website and look at what you have to say. They're probably not going to read your samples if you send like 50. Put them up on the profile, fill in everything you can, and just make it easy to read and understand. Because especially if you're in South Africa and you're using writing, editing, that sort of thing, you're probably not doing it for someone whose first language is English. So writing a whole fancy dialogue is not going to get you clients. Just be straight up, be like as simple as possible. And then I think the second thing is like, latch on to penny stacking. Don't turn your nose up at small paid jobs. Like if you're desperate, you're desperate. And if you just stick with it, it won't even have to be 3 years before you can charge, I guess, what you feel you're worth. But if your profile rate is too high, you're not going to show up in searches as easily. You're going to be lower down.
Interesting.
So, yeah, because if this person has said they want a budget of $5 to $20 an hour, and you have 0 reviews, 0 jobs done, and your profile rate is 20, you're like on page 60. I mean, there's like literally thousands of other people who do the job.
And I mean, out of interest, this is something that I hear a lot of people say as a reason not to, and a reason that they get disparaged from doing it is, oh my God, there are so many people doing it already. Like, why would someone continue to do this if there are literally thousands of people in front of you?
I think it's kind of like that in every industry. Like every job that you apply for on LinkedIn, every book you have in your head, every TV series that's come out now, every song that's made, there's already 100,000 other people doing it. But, you know, you can't, like, what are you going to do if you just don't jump in? You're going to have to just go and hope that you're the person who gets chosen, and make yourself stand out so that you are that person. And then be a good client. I mean, be a good freelancer to your client, you know, deliver on time, respond to communication, do all the things that you would want someone to do for you, and you'll probably hold on to those clients. And then you do become the one out of the thousands that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then do you think that if you're new into Upwork, you should be focusing on specifically getting great ratings and great reviews? Is that how you rank better? Or is it very SEO based and your profile needs to hit the keywords and then you get ranked in search? Like, do you have any insights on how Upwork discovers people?
So it's definitely not that much based on like search ranking in SEO stuff. I think it helps to have it simple and to remember the keywords that someone would be looking for. So for example, for me, I had voiceover artist for a long time, then realized that people actually search for things like voice talent. And I've never been referred to as voice talent. So I was never getting invites, and people just weren't seeing me as a reasonable person to hire. So just knowing something like that, like if you are, what's a good example? Like if you are a UX designer, don't say user experience designer, say UX designer, because that's what they would be looking for. So
that makes sense.
just with that in search rankings. And then the thing is, the more work you do, the better your ratings are, the more Upwork pushes you up in terms of where your proposal lands and where you land in the invitation kind of section.
Okay.
So it's very easy to become rising talent quite quickly, which basically means that you get a little badge that when a client is looking for someone, you have a little badge that makes you stick out from all the other people that says rising talent. That just means you've completed a certain number of jobs at 5 stars. You don't even have to, I think it's even 4.5, but you don't even have to have earned like a specific amount. And once you're rising talent, then, you know, you've got a badge. Then you can move on to top rated. Then you can move on to top rated plus. But you have to be getting those ratings. And the rest is a little bit complicated. It's a job success score. But basically getting the 5 stars and 4 like lowest is going to be what gets you more jobs.
Sure. So interesting. And I think before I ask you to tell us where we can find you, my last question is, how much of your week or month is dedicated to Upwork? Like, is it 20% of your job or 50%, or like, fill me in there?
So at the moment, I do 1 hour of radio per day, and then about, I'd say 6 to 8 hours of Upwork client work. It could vary from day to day, but for the most part, all my clients except one is from Upwork. And that's consistent clients. I might like add in a few here and there if I want to, but yeah, consistently I have about 6 to 8 hours per day for client work.
That is amazing. Cool. I mean, do you have anything to add in closing for advice to anybody, or any little tidbits you've learned that we haven't covered?
I think the main thing is don't be put off by the idea that you don't know how to do this, or you don't know how to do that. Or, you know, if you're wanting to do writing and you see something that says like SEO would be a plus, apply anyway, even if you know SEO or not, because worst case scenario, you find yourself pulling an all-nighter learning SEO on Udemy. Like, put yourself out there anyway. The amount of stuff, and I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but the amount of stuff that I've said I can do that I've then had to quickly self-teach, like, it's insane. But I had to just take it on and then figure it out, because when someone wants to hire you, you just say yes.
Yeah, I love that. But that, I mean, that's my broad advice for just about anything. If you have YouTube and you have the internet, you can learn anything. There are no excuses anymore. Like, just do it. If you need the money, just do it.
Yeah.
Vicki, thank you so much. That was amazing. Please, before we sign off, tell all my listeners and viewers where they can find you, follow you, and buy from you.
So I actually, ironically, don't really have much social media presence anymore. Probably LinkedIn, Vicki McCullum is the best place to find me. And buy from me, Upwork, my LinkedIn will send you there. I think that's probably the best 2 places.
I'll also add that into the description of the video and share it around, so don't stress about that. But that's amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck on Upwork.
Thank you. It's been awesome.